hours. Okay, we are. I feel like it's the first day of school. We are in Kedusha Shabbos Maimer Vav, a page in my volume where it starts Ach Rabbi Seinu Zal Amru. Just to remind you what we're learning. We're learning about the secret of Shabbos, Shlit'a HaShabbos. That's the name of this parak, which is described in the Zohar that's said in Nusach Sfarad on Friday night, Kegavna de Inun. Raza de Shabbos de Isachados B'Raza de Echad. That the secret of Shabbos has to do with the secret of Echad. So let me just recap what we've learned. B'Shamayim, everything is Echad. Hashem is Echad, Shmoy Echad, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So everything is Echad. In the Bria, as the Bria happened, as the world was created, so the Echad divided up into many parts. Something like a rainbow. Spheros, 7 main colors that Newton pointed out in the rainbow. And those 7 colors are the roish to maybe 100 colors, maybe an infinite amount of colors. But there are 7 major colors, but it's all an or echad. There's one or that comes from the Shamayim, and as it reflects on the different droplets and particles of the world, it becomes different colors. So, such is a good mashal to the creation of the world. Hence, by the way, every one of the 7 spheres have a different color. They have a different color. That's why in book Spheros, each chapter is a different color. You have 1 becoming 7. So what we live in is the Alma de Peruda. We live in the world of Perud because that's what was necessary in order to. You wouldn't have a world if everything was Echad. You wouldn't have a world. You wouldn't have mountains. You wouldn't have rivers. You wouldn't have different people. There would be just one, maybe neshama. You know, there wouldn't be a lot of different people. We wouldn't be different from each other. So you need the Perud of the creation of the world. So what's Shabbos? What's the Raza de Shabbos? The Raza de Shabbos is that, okay, Sheishes Yabim Tasad Lachtecha. Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world for 6 days and created the Sheishes Yimei Hamasa. And then came Shabbos. Shabbos is where it all gets tied together. So Raza de Shabbos, Echad Isachados de Raza de Echad. The Raza of Shabbos is that it's misached back into the secret of Echad. Be cooked us ice, right? How could it be that you could take a whole world where you're different and I'm different and everybody's different and everything is different, every bria is different? Ad kedei kach that the Gemara tells us that there are 2 brias in the world that are the same. Ad kedei kach. That's how mahader we are in the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in the Perud. That there's no 2 flies that are identical. There's no 2 twins that are identical. There's no tipat mayim, which is identical to another tipat mayim, even though the expression in Hebrew for being exactly the same is tipat mayim. Even that's different. So how do you bring it all together? The answer is it's all brought together if it all has one purpose. It becomes a cholent. Like, what's the difference between a good cholent and a bad cholent? If you can still tell the halakim, it's not yet cholent. So Shabbos is the cholent of the Bria, where everything comes together to create this perfect, beautiful Michael. It all becomes one. The ingredients become one. You eat a cake. You don't say, oh, taste the flour, taste the sugar, taste the chocolate, taste the... No, it's an echad. So yes, you need all of the different ingredients in the recipe of the world, but it all has to come to echad. So the point of Shabbos is where we can contemplate, says Rav Tzadok, on the world that was given to us. B'chlal, fraught, the week that we had, the different disparate parts of the week that we had, and we could tie it all together, baraza de echad. So that's the kudah of the achdus of Shabbos. Big avodah, by the way, hard avodah. It's the avodah of Kabbalah Shabbos, very difficult to I keep saying the same thing, that how disturbing it was to hear a rabbi say that on the Chadodi we turn around, because we turn our backs on the week and we say, that's over with, let's start new. No, it's not the pshat. It's like such raw stuff. It's disturbing. It's nails on a blackboard. The pshat is on Kabbalah Shabbos, is you're taking the whole week that came by that doesn't make any sense, that had so many ups and so many downs and so many issues, and we're tying it all together, baraza de echad. Let's make kedusha out of this. It's all different parts of a recipe. A recipe sometimes is an interesting thing. Sometimes many of the parts are bitter. You can't eat it. But somehow in the cake it tastes good. Bittersweet. No, but the mar becomes masek kufa. Like it's an amazing phenomenon that ingredients onto themselves are inedible. When you put it together, it's razadach. So that's what we said until now. But now we're going to start saying something deep. Al pasuk, the pasuk says, "Hein ha'adam haya ke'echad mimenu." So, Chumash, you want to have brother? You find that pasuk. Embraces. What's it referring to? Who remembers? Hashem says this. Hein ha'adam, probably by Shlit'a. Hein ha'adam haya ke'echad mimenu. This is talking about Adam Arishon and Chava after he decided to eat from the Eitz Hadas. So Hashem said, now we have a new problem. And what's the new problem? Like the Nachash said. The Nachash said, if you eat from the Eitz Hadas, you're going to become like Hashem. So now Hashem says, okay, now we have a problem. You're like me. Hein ha'adam haya ka'achad mimenu. Now you're becoming like me. Ma'ani yachid be'elyonim, afu yachid b'tachtonim. Just like I'm a yachid, he's a yachid. Now the pasuk, you have the pasuk there? Let me see what it is. Eric?
When the Rav said, I'm a yachid, you're a yachid, does that mean to say there was no individuality before the Eitz Hadas?
Maybe. Okay, let's get there. You're framing the question well. Vayomer Hashem Elikim. Hein ha'adam. This was after he made them kosnais aravi albishin. After he made them clothing, he said, Vayomer Hashem Elikim. Hein ha'adam haya ka'es ruvin. Hein ha'adam haya ka'achad mimenu lodas toy v'ra. V'ata, now that he knows toy v'ra, ata now pen yishlach yodai. Now he's going to go and he's going to make a run for it, and take from the Eitz HaChaim the ochal and eat from it, v'chai lo elam, and live forever. There was no prohibition to eat from the Eitz HaChaim. Me'etz hadas toivera lo yisoicham. Mikol eitz hagan toicham. You can eat whatever you want. So 10 minutes ago, it was fine to eat from the Eitz HaChaim. But now that you ate from the Eitz Hadas, and you were gozer misa on the world, you created a situation of misa. What are you going to do? You're going to go run for the antidote. You're going to go run for the Eitz HaChaim, and you're going to live forever. And Hashem says that can't be because you ate from the Eitz Hadas. So therefore, what am I going to do? That's exactly why we were evicted. He was evicted from Gan Eden. He lived on the east side of Gan Eden. And the Malachim came and guarded the entrance to the Gan so that Adam Arisha could not approach the Eitz HaChaim. I presume when we learn these psukim, like, what do we do with them? Just before we get to Rav Tzadok, this is the diuk in the pasuk is Vayomer Hashem Elokim Hein Ha'adam Haya Ka'achad Mimenu. What's the first kasha? It's going to be like one of us. Ka'achad Mimenu. Because I'll say that Rashi brings. It's like a malach, like one of us is like he's living in the higher
Supernal
world. Supernal world. If I'm not mistaken, the Chazal goes like this: Amar Loi Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva said, I think it was Rabbi Papus that said that it means that Hashem said that now Adam has also become like a malach. He ate from the Eitz Hadas, and he became like a malach. He put himself in other words, he put himself on a level which was higher in a way, where you're still in the alma de piruda. You could have been an end product, an end user, and everything is echad. You could have been the cholent. But no, you wanted to get involved in the tov v'ra. You wanted to get involved in the ingredients of the cholent. So now you're like a malach. Amar Loi Rabbi Akiva dayecha. Called the Lashon of the Medrash. Rabbi Akiva said to him, I speak with your drushes. To say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu would say mimenu, that I'm like a malach is like me, is philosophically untenable. So what's kachad mimenu? And here Rabbi Akiva says a very deep thing. Kachad mimenu means, look in the Medrash, the kachad mimenu means that Adam HaRishon had a choice, bechira, to go two ways. Simple shot in two ways is to eat from the Eitz Hadas, not to eat from the Eitz Hadas, but much deeper than that. Do you want to be here or do you want to be here? Do you want to be part of this process of tov v'ra? Eat the Eitz Hadas, and now there's ra in the world, and you've got to always choose. You have a challenge with ra, and you're going to have to be mamtik the dinim, and you're going to have to bring the ra l'tay. You want to do that, or do you just want it the other way? I'm happy that this should be done in Shemayim, and this should be done in Malachim. By the time you get to the world, Mashiach, there is no more choices, there's no more free choices, everything is great. There's no Misa in the world, there's no Yetzer Hara, there's no wars. You make a choice. The choice was big, not whether to eat an apple or not eat an apple. The choice was, do you want to be positioned here, or do you want to be positioned here? Do you want to be... So Rabbi Akiva, the pshat in Rabbi Akiva is that he became ka'achad mimenu when he chose to eat from the Eitz Hadas. He became that choice, ka'achad mimenu, for one of the two choices. He chose to be Rabbi Akiva's gaonus at learning. Ka'achad mimenu, that he chose to become. He didn't just choose; he became that choice. You just changed life. You just changed the world as Hashem intended it. Or not as Hashem intended it. Hashem intended it at that point to be, you're here, I'll make all the decisions over here of what's tov, what's ra. I'll already cook it for you. The Nachash said, no, don't be like that. Don't be just like an end user. Like a friar. Get up a level and be involved in the technology of tov v'ra. Okay, so now you became Adam HaRishon, ka'achad mimenu. You became your choice, says Rabbi Akiva. Now you became this very, very complex and complicated and difficult irvuv of tov v'ra, yetzer hara, yetzer hatov, satan hamashus. We became complicated. So that's the haya ka'achad mimenu.
To say that when he ate the Sadas, he became, in a sense, like, Malachim and so like that. I don't understand how it works, because the Malachim don't have Bechira. The whole point is when he ate the Sadas, now he had Bechira. And a Malach doesn't have Bechira.
Right, in that sense, it's not like a Malach, but what is Papus on the other side, not like Rabbi Akiva.
Right.
So what he means is that you've elevated yourself to be in a Kelohim and part of the supernal system. In other words, you've elevated yourself to be part, just like every Balach has a different function. So now you'll have a function too.
I'm sorry, I'm saying so.
But not the Baal Bechira.
I'm saying the like the Bush saying that we're on a higher level than Malach in a sense because we have the fear and we do our.
So we're high Malach.
Right.
But it would have been something like HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So shouldn't that be less complex? Because they're closer to Echad, it's less Purud, no?
Right. So that's Rabbi Akiva's kasha. Rabbi Akiva's kasha is that what do you mean the Ka'achad Mimenu that he's becoming at a higher level? He became on a lower level. Ka'achad Mimenu, he became like one side of his choice. So one side of his choice means he became complicated, more difficult. Which is not necessarily a lower level, by the way. It's a complicated level. We are complicated. It's just to put it on a very simple level. I've yet to meet a person that was either all good or all bad.
Is this more Purud?
Is what?
In fact, this after the choice, is that did other than move into a matzah of more Purud?
Oh, so the ultimate period. So until now, that's why I say now is we're going to say something already deep. Because it's easy to talk about the math. Before it was during the time of the Bria, so Hashem was Echad, pirate through the spheroids, and now we're supposed to bring it together. Seder, like somehow or another we could manage that thought. But now we're saying something different. We became part of the Pirud. What do we do with that? We became part of the Pirud. Now how is the person who's part of the Pirud supposed to be Ba'achid the two Chalakim?
Part of
All this
Purud.
wasn't necessarily such a byproduct of him eating from the Eitzadas. He made this choice, but in order to attain this goal that he wanted to attain, he had to eat from the Eitzadas. Like, I want to go to Israel, I have to get in a plane.
It wasn't the apple. It wasn't the apple. It was the going against the tzivui of Hashem. Okay.
So was there even
He positioned himself. Meaning he positioned himself. Hashem said, "Don't eat it." He said to eat it. So he positioned. Right. It's not about the fruit. He positioned himself in a place of making choices.
So was there even a chila, or was it just a choice he made?
You have to do something in this world. You have to do a bicycle. Look, I'm this way. I'm sure you're this way. Somebody starts making choices for me. I flip out. I say, you don't have to worry. You'll be okay. I'll take care of you. Not to worry. But how much am I allowed? Right. How much am I allowed to spend here? Give me you just spend what you. It's worse. Terrible. No. It's infuriating. It's patronizing. It's you would think, but it's Gan Eden.
I want to be the cook. Stay out of my kitchen.
No, but that situation of everything is done, everything is all sorted out. That's Gan Eden. Shabbos. So who wants to? Right? Shabbos. Everything's done. So do you want to live in Gan Eden or don't want to live in Gan Eden? So Adam Arisha made the same choice that I would have made. At least I, being a Nechad of Adam Arisha. The Pirud is a much more. Don't patronize me. Don't run my life. Just give me my choices. It's
This is my wife's question. The Leshem has a reports that this is really a setup.
And the Soyan.
No, that really was there's a top of that, and Adam was destined to make that.
Say.
Yeah.
Say.
You
have to say something like that.
Huh?
You have to say something like that.
Is everybody like that, or
I don't know.
Huh?
It's a different question. Okay. So what did we just do here? What we just did here is we took the Pirud of this world, which is kind of out there. There's mountains and there's valleys, and we brought it in here. And now we are fragmented.
I'm making more fragmentation.
So let's look inside here. Al pasuk heina adam haya ke'achad mimenu one of the opinions of the Medrash, gracious Rabbah, Ma ani yachid be'el yoinim, afu yachid b'tachtoinim. Now, he's like me, meaning you've upgraded yourself to the difficult situation of dealing with Tov and Ra. Ki achelek, let's analyze it. Ki achelek hu dugmas hakol. The chelek hu dugmas hakol. What does it mean? You take an apple. It's an apple. You cut the apple into 4 pieces. Each piece is 100% apple. Smaller. So this is what's the zeranpin. Smaller, but it's hainuhach. Same nutrition, same molecules, everything's the same. So Adam, piece of the apple. Ki achelek hu dugmas hakol lias hakol achdus gomer. V'hu hakolel kol habriya. So a person is kolel kol habriya v'al yadai misyached gam ken kol habriya. Lias gam lamata einoy milvadai v'Yisrael goyachad ba'aretz cholkoi v'nachlosa yisparach. So we say at Mincha, Ato echad, Shimcha echad. So Ato echad is not such a chiddush, right? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. Shimcha echad is a bigger chiddush because Shema Yisrael Hashem is midas harachmim, Elokeinu is midas adin. No, Hashem echad. But we can get through that too. Umi kamcha Yisrael goy echad bars. That's already a difficult concept. But that's the way it was supposed to be. Maybe that's the way it can be on Shabbos. But that's the way it was supposed to be. Ato echad, Shimcha echad, Umi kamcha Yisrael goy echad. Echad, echad, echad. That's the way it was supposed to be. Avul mitzad Chet Adam Harishon. But once Adam Harishon did the Chet, don't forget, it's on Shabbos we're getting to a place of Me'ein Olam Haba before the Chet. But without that, now that Adam Harishon did the Chet, Hayaki Echad B'chaf HaDimyon. Hein Ha'adam Hayaki Echad Mimenu. He just was downgraded to a Chaf HaDimyon. Ke'echad. He's like one, no longer one. Why? Ki al yedei zeh, what happened when he ate from the gates of Das? This is probably the most important sentence that the Torah has to offer into understanding this world. Ki al yedei zeh, gam hara hayachafetz lisached. Now the Ra wants to be part of the recipe. We positioned ourselves in a very difficult position. We put ourselves in a place where we need to get to Echad, and if we would be down at the end, at the bottom, and at the end of the chain, it's okay, so it's Echad, Hashem does that work for us. But now we're in a position where we have to somehow be, in Hasidic Lashon, Mamtik the Din. We have to somehow take the Ra and make the Ra part of the recipe of Tov. Adar Shamar Chazal, Ha'akram Omrim Anu Yisrael. Throughout the generations, Chazal say, the Ovdei Avodah Zarah would always cry out, Anu Yisrael. Yeah. Esav. Ki la'olam, let's try to understand, let's try to grasp this. Ki la'olam hara gam hu chafetz lis'alei sulisached b'makar v'shiyaloi kiyum gamor. Look, the Ra is part of the world. So the Ra says, how do I get in? So now the Adam has to negotiate with the Ra. The Ra wants to become part of what it should be, which is the Echad HaGamor. Ki be'emes gam sham yesh al karchach ezu nitzotz kadosh shemehem chiyusam. It's the right, it's the nitzotz kadosh of the Ra to say, I want to be part of the Echad. As you say, Christianity is a good mashal. Why can't we get in? Well, it's a shtickle avodah zarah, you know.
Why do you say it needs kaddish? Maybe they want to be part of it to create more.
Everything is kaddish. Everything has a nitzutz kaddish. Everything is created by Hashem.
Otherwise it couldn't exist.
Hmm?
Otherwise it couldn't
Yeah.
exist.
It's part of the bria. See, all that happened is, you know, it's like, all that happened is, I'm just trying to understand it for myself, is, you know, if you sell me a computer, if you bring me a Mac, just show me the end screen and the keyboard. That's what I want. You know, I don't want to. If you give me one without the shell, and now I've got to start, like, you know, dealing with the wires and the mices and this and that. So, like, okay, like, I'm now a chashuv guy, right? You know, like, I'm a big technician. You look like a big geek if you have an open computer on your desk. But, you know, geeks are on the risk. They don't have that Gan Eden situation of, like, I'm just an end user. So what happens is, even the wrong thing is got to be there. Everything is there for a reason. The wrong thing is there also, but you can severely mess up. That's, I think, the nakuda here.
There's a Gemara in Avei Psachim where Avram Avinu goes into Kivshan Ha'esh. The Gemara says, the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Ani yachid ba'olami, hu yachid ba'olamo. Hu yachid ba'asib es ayom. It doesn't say ki yachid ba'olamo. So is the yichud of Avram different from the yichud of the Rishon Charechem?
Avram Avinu was the beginning of the tikkun of Adam. So he became more echad, of bringing things together. Why Avram Avinu had to be Magayer Sager, bring everything. It's all about tying everything together. But before we get to Avram Avinu, let's just a few lines here before we have to stop. Fascinating. Emesgam Sham Yesh. So we have this. Let's just understand it conceptually, even if we don't understand it for real. You know, let's make pretend. Just understand the graphics of this thing. There's Ra in the world. Everything in the world was intended to be Echad. So the tzaddikim are part of the Echad, can move on. Nice things in life are part of the Echad, can move on. But the Ra also wants to jump in. That's the concept. I'm also part of this world. I also want to be Ato Echad, V'Shimcha Echad, U'Mika Amcha Yisrael Ge'echad Ba'aretz. Why Amcha Yisrael? Why can't I be part of the Echad? I do have a nitzutz of Kedusha. Avla Ratzon HaYirak L'Inyan Nisayin HaAdam Shu Yisgaber Negdai V'Loi She'yeloi Metzius Be'emes Klal. Wow. The Yetzer Hara was not invented by Adam Arishon eating from the Eitz Hadash. What is the answer to your question? When was the Yetzer Hara invented? When was Ra invented? It was there. There was a Nachash. There was a Nachash telling him that don't eat it. So there was like, didn't start after the Aveira, it started before the Aveira. But, says Rav Tzadok, that now let's get rid of all of our preconceived notions and all of our Christian ideas. It's very simple. The Pshat, of course there was a Ra. The Ra was there for Adam Arishon for Adam B'chlal, but Adam Arishon, Adam B'chlal to reject it. It was an asayim. There's Ra coming my way? No way. Now that he ingested the Ra, and that's the importance of the eating of the fruit, now that he ingested the Ra, he made the decision. He ingested the Ra, put himself in a different position. He became a Ratzon, the original Ratzon of Hashem, HaYirak L'Inyan Nisayin HaAdam Shu Yisgaber Negdai. All Hashem wanted with the Ra is that Adam should be strong enough to be Miskaber Adam. This was his chance. Can you hold back from eating the fruit? V'loi sheyiloi b'tzius be'emes, not that it should be real. Now the Ra became part of the equation. Now, it's no longer something that you're supposed to jump over. Now it's something you have to work with.
So did he elevate the Ra at that moment?
He
Or he just set
elevated
himself up and he would need to elevate
He elevated
the Ra?
himself, so to speak. Elevated, that was the right word, but he positioned himself. That now you have to deal with the Ra. Yeah, like you understand how if you have the cigarette here, cigarette's dangerous. So my job is to be misgaber on something dangerous, even though it could be quite geschmack. But if I've overdone it, and now it's begin to attack my body, so now I have a new reality that I have to deal with. It's not out here; it's inside. A lot harder, a lot more difficult. Now we're talking medications. Now we're talking surgeries. Now we're talking possible death. Gozar misa. The taking this ra into oneself, as Adam Arishan did, and saying, no, I want to position myself where I'm not just getting everything, like, it's not just like a little sign on the outside. I want to fight. I want to have the real challenge. Okay, that's what you want. So now the ra is bifnin. Now we're left with the product of irvuv tov v'ra b'leiv ha'adam. I drank it. Kasha adam yirzalis kalel b'makar ha'chayim. Now I want to get close to Hashem. Now I've got this whole complicated thing inside of me of tov and ra, yetzirah tov. It's like very, very real.
So we're this kado?
Liskala lashon kolel. Adam kasher Adam yirtze lihiskalel b'makar ha'chayim. He wants to make himself part of the makar ha'chayim. V'hu adayit shakua b'ra. But I've got this problem that I'm attached to ra. Right? He's got this decay going on. Al yidei zeh yuchol chas v'chalila hara liskaber yosef. Now you have an inner pull, and who says that the tov is going to win? Well, just look out the window, read the newspaper. Usually the ra wins. The ra that was, there are tzaddikim. There are tzaddikim. Maybe we're tzaddikim. But al pirov, there have been countries that have killed millions of people. The ra sheba'hem. Ki'inyan, it's like the Gemara says, Lamasme'ilim ba sama de moisa. Do you remember that Gemara? The Gemara is in... Shabbos, let's say Peches. Gemara says as follows. Let's look at it. Omer Rabbi Chananel bar Papa. See, he's not only in the siyum, he's right there over. Omer Rabbi Chananel bar Papa. My deceive shimu ki negidim adaber. A pasuk in Mishlei Ches. Negidim adaber. Lama nimshlu divrei Torah. Negidim adaber. I speak. Hashem says, in Shlomo Melech's mashal, I speak princely words. It's talking about divrei Torah. A nagid is like a prince, or a king, or somebody of unusual power. Lama nimshlu divrei Torah ki nagid. The Torah itself is powerful. Loimer lecha. Ma nagid zeh, if you'll take a nagid, Rav Shmuel a nagid. You'll take a nagid. Yesh by lahamis ulahachyos, he has the power of life and death in his hands. Af divrei Torah, yesh by lahamis ulahachyos. Now, you understand what we're saying here? That even Torah has now contains this irvuv of toiv v'ra. I mean, in other words, even Torah doesn't have the white purity of being tov. Torah can also be bad. So the Torah, Shlomo Melech said, is also a nugget. Yesh by koach, the Torah, when we learn Torah, the Torah has a koach to enliven us, to give us life, has a koach to kill us. How does that work? Torah killed anybody? Hainu damar Rava, this is what Rava said, L'miyaminim ba sama dechaya l'masmi'ilim ba sama demosa. If you take the right side of Torah, right, dexterous, then it's a sama dechaya. It's a potion of life. If you take the left side of Torah, l'masmi'ilim ba, it's a sama demosa. Where do we find this? Yeah. The one usher some motion. So says Rav Tzadok, I'll give you an example. Hashem says to the Rosh, the Pasuk says, what are you doing with my Torah? What happens when a Rasha gets Torah?
Uses it for his own purpose.
Achar yotza l'tarbus ra. Achar. Elisha ben Avuya. Achar. Elisha ben Avuya went l'tarbus ra. How? How did he go l'tarbus ra? Says Rav Tzadok. Here's a secret. Ayidei shenichnas l'pardes. Arba nichnasu l'pardes. Kiva, Ben Hazai, Ben Zayma, and Elisha ben Avuya. Achar. Arba nichnasu l'pardes. Pardes, let's assume, means the deepest mystical secrets of the world. Rabbi Kiva, trying to explain to his Talmidim the Roman decrees, the Hadrian decrees, the suffering that was going on. Tzaddik V'ralei, something which has never been able to be explained. Even Moshe Rabbeinu struggled with Tzaddik V'ralei. Why do the righteous suffer? So he went in it, and it's clear that it's talking about very, very deep Kabbalah, because he even says to them, as I take you on this journey, you're going to see Shayish Tahar, Al Toimer Mayim Mayim. He speaks to them in Kabbalah. And each one came out different. Acher Yotza L'Tarbus Ra. The interesting thing here is that Acher had so many experiences. Acher, the Gemara says a whole bunch of reasons why he went off to Terach. One is he saw a kid climbing a tree to pick an apple for his father, and he died. He fell off the tree and died. So another Gemara says that he saw the L'Shoner Shel Chutzpah HaMeturgaman B'Peh Chazir. He saw the Chutzpah HaMeturgaman, who was the great speaker in Klal Yisrael. So the Romans killed him, and they threw him and he saw a pig running with his tongue in the street. Like, what a horrible vision. That made him go off to Derech, who wouldn't be affected by it. So Rav Tzadok says, but it's the third thing there that he was nichnas l'pardes. That's what really clinched the deal, because here he accessed Torah, and he used the Torah. Until then, it was a Nisayan. Until then, it was a Nisayan. Whatever you see is a Nisayan. But when you find it in the Torah, now that's very, very deep inside. That's already Eitz Hadas.
What's the masmil?
Just want to get this point clear. Like, in other words, what you see, the kid falling off the tree, Le'aleinu, that's bachutz. That's like Adam Rishon seeing the Eitz Hadas. But when you go into the Pardes with Rabbi Akiva, and you do that type of a discovery session, so now you've ingested the das, the ultimate das, the Eitz Hadas, and it could be so l'miyaminim ba, which was ben Rabbi Akiva, nichnas b'sholom, yotza b'sholom, ben Azai, hitzitz v'meis, ben Zoyma, hitzitz v'nifka. Seder, but it was Kutzmimus. To take it, and now, what did he see? The Gemara tells us somebody. He saw Shtei Rishuyas. He said he saw the Metatroi. So the Torah worked against him. Let's do another sentence here. Acher yatsa l'tarbus ra, ayidei shenichnas l'pardes, v'lo haya naki agavime, because the little bit of bacteria that was in him started to explode. Chein b'dayros ha'achronim, in later generations, Shabsai Tzvi, Shem Rishayim Yirkav, Ki Yadua. By the way, Acher, by all Pasha analysis, became a Christian. That was Christianity. It might not be Christianity as we know it today, but it was Christianity. It had to do with Yeshua Notzri, it had to do with Shtei Reshuyos, and dividing Hashem into 2, into 3, into, it was a Christian. The Gemara says that when he stood up in the Beis Medrash, he was the Gadol Ador. You drive around in the Galil on Route 90, and you say, wow, he was the Rav here. He was the Gadol Ador. He was the biggest Gadol of Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe of Rabbi, contemporary of Rabbi Akiva. Wasn't stopped. But here's where he messed up. Too much Torah in the wrong way. A little nitzutz, that's the other thing the Gemara says, that that at his bris already, there was a shaloi lishma. So the little nitzutz of Ra that was made him take this unbelievable body of Torah being taught by no one less than Rabbi Akiva himself. He took in this Torah and he turned it into, okay, so there's Shtei Reshuyos. If there's Shtei Reshuyos, I'm not going to worship any longer Hashem. I'll be a Satanist. I'll be a Christian. I'll worship the other side. Acher, the other side. So
That's small? Is that the meaning of small?
that's the small. So the yamin and the small, the omic of Rava here is not just like with respect, not just like Rashi says that what is with strength and what is with strength and more dexterous, and the small is weaker. It's yamin and small. What Rava was teaching was a deep lesson in Kabbalah. Everything has it in a yamin and a small. So you can use the Torah, and we understand it. It's like using the Eitz Hadas. This is what happened. When your Ra becomes a reality, you're ingesting the Eitz Hadas, Toiv V'Ra. So now it's not in the Sayyid, it's not out there anymore, like you saw a kid fall off a tree. Now it's in here. That says Rav Tzadok, that clinched the downfall of Elisha ben Avuya. Same thing, Shabbos Tzvi, Ki Yadua. What was Ki Yadua? Ki Yadua, I guess he knew history. But Ki Yadua, that Shabbos Tzvi didn't come along and tell everyone to break the Torah. He said, I am the Torah. Makubal, probably the biggest Abulafian Makubal in the entire world. But what it came down to, the whole Torah Shabbos Tzvi came down to Shtei Reshuyos. The whole Christianity comes down to Shtei Reshuyos. The whole Acher comes down to Shtei Reshuyos. What is Shtei Reshuyos? You made it small, Tov V'Ra. So you ingested the apple. The Ra becomes part of the reality now, not just in the sign on the outside. Zen Namar, and this is what the Torah means, and with this we'll end with this pasuk. This is what the Torah means when it says, Pen, that you got to be careful now, because now that Adam Arishan has ingested the pre of the Eitz Hadas, so now what's he going to do? He's going to make a beeline for the Eitz HaChayim. And what's going to happen when this Ra gets together with the Eitz HaChayim? Chai la'olam, there's going to be a kiyum to the Ra. So Kadosh Baruch Hu fenced him out of the Gan Eden. No. This is the whole idea of not teaching Torah to somebody who's not right to teach Torah. We always said, Ber Heitev speaks about this in your day, Talmud Sheina Hagun. Why don't we, Ber Heitev asked the Kasha, the Shulchan Aruch says that you're not allowed to teach Talmud Sheina Hagun, based on the Gemara. So Ber Heitev asked the Kasha, but we find a different Gemara, it says, Hama'ar Shabai Yachziroi L'Mutav, which is the heter, by the way, for the whole Baal Tshuva movement. We're teaching people that are married to Goyim and eating tray for Oichle Chazir. Are we teaching them Torah? You're not allowed to teach Talmud Sheina Hagun. Okay, well, there's the other side of it. Hamar Shabai Yasir L'Mutav. Not so much. The Ber Heitev says a kasha. This is a steerer.
Isn't that less threatening, though? The person who's more educated, who's going to be distorted through his Yetzer Hara, is going to take his education and distort Torah. That becomes the Jews for Jesus formula, where you use the knowledge and more emes in there is more powerful than Sheker.
So what do you?
And therefore the Baal Tshuva is like, what has he got to work with? There's nothing, he doesn't have anything to work with to distort.
No ra.
There's no ra to, he doesn't...
Okay, so came the Chazon Ish, based on this Berhetiv, and he was Masber to us, okay, Tinuk Shenish B'Shayim. I tell you from my experience that if somebody is an Apocaris, it's very dangerous to teach them Torah. Not because superficially, now he's going to take your Divrei Torah and say them over in his Apocaris Shul. It's becomes an acher. Becomes an acher. So let's just paint this picture in your mind here of Adam Harishon now struggling with Tov Ra and saying, let me get that Eitz HaChaim. Well, the Eitz HaChaim now is going to bolster both the Tov and the Ra. Yeshon Baya. Because then you're giving V'chai La'olam, you're giving a Kiyumas to the Ra. So the Yesh Lodun is clear. So that's enough for today. But the Kuta, just to summarize it, the sense is that what we want to understand now is that it's not just now we're talking adult material. It's not just that there's a Sheb Echad and then there's a Pirud or there's a Midas Harachim and Midas Hadin. Dai Bazeh, that not everything in the world is appears beautifully. Yadua in our own lives and history. But there's something deeper here with the Eitz Hadas, that you took the Tov V'Ra, took it from being an external Nisayon to being an internal reality. Now that's an internal reality, it's a much more difficult thing, right? It's like after the 5,000 bags of cigarettes. So now you have a reality which you have to deal with and you can't so easily undo. This does like Pasha. This does like Pasha to undo it. You've adjusted it. You've taken it. It's part of your reality. And what can happen is that it can grow too. If you're not careful, that evil reality, just think of it on a medical level, if you're not careful, you could be feeding it and it can grow. That's right? It can grow. So once it can grow, so now where am I? Where we lost it? This is what Adam Harishon did for us. Now, Yitzchak says, well, the Leshem says it was a good thing. The Seder, we like challenges. We're a bunch of masochists. but it's not blissful. It's not a blissful situation. And it's a situation which is what it is, and therefore we have to be aware of it and work with it.